Now, what I have been told, and they're looking at building a green zone style security barrier around Port-au-Prince, pushing the gangs out, pushing people out into the countryside and all that, which is going to cause another problem, of course, because people haven't got nothing anyway. But I guess for now, all they're interested in is stopping the violence, taking the weapons out, getting some sort of control to build a government of some sort. That's where we're at now.
How can I help? How can I be useful in ending needless suffering? Do not be afraid of work that has no end.
We have to organize a social movement.
We have an opportunity to lead by example versus just talking, hot air. I think the more people in this fight, the more we grow. Eventually it could change. The people are the ones that can make the change.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Change Agents, an IRONCLAD original, proudly presented by Montana Knife Company. Today we have some return guests. We are going to be sitting down again with Billy-Billingham and his wife, Julie. They were previously on the show, season 1, talking about the situation in Haiti, and specifically their nonprofit that works there and the factory that they have that is creating locally sourced and produced goods, bringing jobs and security, hopefully, back to the Haitian country. They originally appeared on the show last summer, and since then, gang violence in Haiti has overwhelmed many areas in the country. Without any further ado, let's dive in and hear about what's going on in Haiti. Today's episode of Change Agents is brought to you by Onyx Off-Road. Now, some of you may have heard the term Onyx before in regards to hunting. Same company, different app, different legalization. This is specifically Onyx Off-Road. And if you like getting off the beaten path, if you like exploring where others may not like to go, then you are going to love Onyx Off-Road. It's the ultimate GPS navigation app for adventurers. When I turn this thing on, where I live up here in Kalispell, it lights up with available trail options that, quite frankly, I never would be able to, probably because I don't have the time to find and explore on my own. So with Onyx Off-Road, you can find open trails that are near you, even without cell service. And unlike Google, Onyx has real humans mapping the trails, providing detailed information on trail difficulty, descriptions, pictures, and more. So whether you're looking for rock crawling areas or checking if your trailer could make it to a dispersed camping location, Onyx Off-Road has you covered. Plus, you can explore both public lands and private properties confidentially, meaning you can look at them through the app. You can start your adventure with a 7-day free trial and experience the difference yourself. Download Onyx Off-Road today and elevate your off-roading experience. Where do we begin? Haiti looks like a real fucking mess right now. We'll get into that. Let's, to make this or allow this to be partially standalone, because people can obviously go back and listen to our first episode, to save them that time so they can get through this one, though, but to give them a little context, probably best for you guys to reintroduce yourself just a little bit, talk about the initiatives that you are working on, and of course you have to tell briefly the story of how you met.
I'm Mark Billy-Billingham, ex-British soldier, 9 years with the Airborne and 20 plus with the Special Air Service, SAS. Had a full career with the military, decorated on a couple of occasions by Her Majesty the Queen, left the military and went straight into security as a bodyguard for A-list celebrities. Did that for a number of years, got bored with that, set up a business out in Haiti, which predominantly was security driven. And on the back of that, whilst that was running, became very charitable. Saw situations happening around the globe and including Iraq, which we supported. And then in 2010 was the massive earthquake in Haiti. That took me to Haiti, and that's where I met my wife, Julie.
Hi, I'm Julie Billingham, and I'm a trained disaster responder. And so when the earthquake hit Haiti in 2010, I deployed and, was just there, like my husband, to try to help with the emergency disaster response, setting up emergency centers, handing out water and tents and doing all that. But what we both found was that there was a bigger place for us in economic development and long-term development. So we started not only our charity Rebuild Globally, which provides education and job training to young people, but also our business Deux Mains, where we make leather goods, and for a long time just leather handbags and small leather goods, but now we're also producing school shoes for children in Haiti, and that's been
awesome.
a really new and fun, exciting part of our business in Haiti, operating in some pretty challenging times.
Which one came first, Rebuild Globally or Deux Mains?
Charity.
The charity came first, which
Okay.
going back to that very start was you like I, I've been a military man. We've been all around the globe. We've seen disaster, natural and unfortunately conflict, and you see people suffering. And we, as a military person, you always go that little bit further, as I always say. We go there to stop the suffering, but we also there go to help and rebuild nations and people and communities. And having done that for many, many years, I kind of thought I had a good grounding and understanding of what charity really meant. And then in Haiti, when I met Jules, we sat down and really went through what does it really mean? What is charity? And charity is about giving, of course. And it's about giving you time initially to save life, stop suffering. Then it's about giving experience and knowledge to prevent any more suffering and help rebuild whatever you're going to do. And she really educated me to that. And it was then that I realized there's only one thing that charity really is, and it's about giving back dignity. And as much as we've done this all through our lives, through the military experiences, when you sit down and really analyze it, that's what it comes down to: dignity, giving back dignity. And Jules really educated me to that. And we sat down, and under her direction, we formed the charity Rebuild Globally, which I sum it up as a three-phase operation, if you like. Phase one is giving children who've got nothing, and I mean nothing, not even a shower, not a place to live, homeless. Most of them were orphans at the time. Give them education. When you think, how many billionaires we have in the world today, yet there's so many children not even have an opportunity to eat, live properly, and get education. It's scandalous. So we sat down, we formed this charity. It's about giving kids an opportunity to get education. And then at the end of that education, if they go through the whole program, which I will say at this point, in 15 years later, every single child would put in that school.
100% success.
100%. And it's fantastic. So, and then we thought, okay, that's great. We've given them education. That's probably a worse tool to have if there's nothing beyond that. So Jules went into, right, what's a turnkey solution to ending poverty? Education, job training, a job. So her phase went on to the latter part, which is the hardest part, which is to set up business to give people a job. So between us, we did education. I raised the awareness and the money where I can, and obviously she does as well, and people that help us. Once they finish their education, they have to finish it, like I said, 100%. Then they have a choice to go into university or they go into work, job training and work. And most of them, when they get the opportunity, go into a university, which I'll let Jules cover in a minute. And then job training, which is everything from holding a rule straight, drawing a line, to cutting leather, to using a machine, to driving, using a press. So they get all that education, all that training. Then comes the best bit, is a job. And it's giving these people, going back to the dignity, a chance to stand on their own 2 feet. Because that's all they want. They don't want your handouts. They don't want your T-shirts. They actually don't really want your money. They want a job. They want to be able to stand and be able to provide for themselves, their family, their community. And we really saw this on a massive level. And
financial freedom means so much. In Haiti particularly, it means you can keep your family together. A lot of kids are in orphanages because their parents can't afford them. So this financial freedom was keeping families together, communities together, and all that was a good job. And so when we started the charity, we were like, okay, great. When the kids graduate, we'll give them some job training, some like internships, paid internships, and then let them go into the workforce. Well, we realized there was no workforce. There's 85% unemployment in Haiti, no businesses, nobody was hiring. So we thought, okay, I guess we're gonna have to start a business too. So that's where we built the factory so that we could, provide jobs to kids. And what we have now is the entire leadership are graduates. So it's not just craftsmen and craftswomen making handbags and shoes. They are running the operations, they're running the HR. I mean, the whole place is run by graduates of Rebuild Globally. So we kind of proved the model that if you can educate, train, and then give employment, there is hope for an economic revolution in small scale, of course, because we're small, but it's happening.
Yeah, but that's how big change happens. I mean, that ripple effect, if you drop a pebble in a pond, it concentrically works its way out. Interesting, Billy, you were talking about the natural disaster in our experiences in the military, and I'm curious to your thoughts on this. in the modern era, between Iraq and Afghanistan, it's not uncommon to see suffering or destruction or death or all of those things. For me personally, I struggle more with being around natural disasters and seeing what comes from that than I did my time in war zones. And I don't know what that is. Maybe it is because they had no choice and it involves everybody, and it strips dignity is a good way of putting it. I hadn't thought about it like that. Not that the destruction of warfare is, necessarily the easiest pill to tolerate, but it never tugged on my heartstrings the way that the natural disasters do.
That's a great point. And I think likewise, because when you're going into conflict, you're kind of prepared for it. And we all know collateral damage. We all know, unfortunately, people are going to suffer until you get the end result that is obviously to stop the tyrants or whatever the problem is. So you kind of, you in your mind and your body and your soul, you're ready for it. You're expecting it. And then when something natural, you wake up one morning, oh my God, there's just been a tsunami. What's a tsunami? What the hell? Or an earthquake. And then you realize what the impact of that is. Yeah, that is more touching. You're absolutely right. I mean, having gone through, probably like yourself, all the way through Bosnia and seeing bodies all over the road and houses, buildings, all that sort of stuff. But then to go into Haiti, where it wasn't anyone's fault other than Mother Nature, it is. It's kind of heart-wrenching thinking, whoa, you kind of stepped off the gas of being prepared for war and conflict. So you're right. So it does, it affects you more. And likewise, it really did. When I went to Haiti, I was like, whoa, I've seen this on a different scale, but I was ready for it. I definitely wasn't ready for it when I went into Haiti. And what really is weird about us as human beings is the amount of animals that were dead at the side of the road. And I've seen that in war, but you kind of expected it. There was dogs bloated at the side of the road. There was horses, there was pigs, there was cows, and then humans next to that. It was just the natural disaster. You're absolutely right. The
victims are powerless, aren't they?
It is. It catches you more, and you think, and that's the reason we're still doing it, But it did. I never thought it the way like you just did there, but you're right. It affects you more.
I hadn't honestly thought about it until you had the dignity comment actually got me thinking about that, and I think there's something there. I'd have to spend more time thinking on it, but there's something there, and that widespread impact and loss of that dignity that I think is somehow connected to it. But yeah, you'd think you'd be. I don't know the right word. Conditioned. I don't want to use a negative word because people think that soldiers are like, oh, death doesn't mean anything and you're impervious to it, which is not my experience in any way, shape, or form. But it just hits different for sure.
Yeah. But it is, you're kind of trained, to fight and see people say, soldiers are trained for this, but you're not really trained for it. You're trained for something that might happen. When it's actually happening, there's arms lying around, there's bodies, there's bits of body. No one's trained for that.
Yeah,
you've got to accept it, because on a military mission, there is a mission. There's something you've got to achieve, and so you have to put that to the side. When you go into a natural disaster, you deal with everything you come to at that moment, because you have to. Whereas in war, and I know we have to step round on people, their people suffering to get that mission. We have to stop that, whatever it is, before we can even come back to deal with those issues. So.
You've seen what we've been able to do with the Navy SEAL Foundation in the past. We've done campaigns, films, and tons of other awesome content. Our latest Ironclad original, On the X, is made in partnership with the foundation. We are really excited about this weekly podcast and YouTube show. One of the debut episodes we're really excited to have on best-selling author and podcaster Malcolm Gladwell. Another example of a guest, Matt Frazier, who's won 5 CrossFit championships, or big wave surfer and kind of wellness advocate Laird Hamilton. Both those guys have really pushed the limits of their sports, and it's a perfect sort of example of what we want to try to do with this show.
So we spoke last summer. How has the last 12 months treated Haiti? Actually, before you bring me up to speed from last summer, maybe we should talk about what the conditions were like the last time we spoke. So maybe when you guys first went in there around 2010 to how it built to where it was before we spoke last, and then we can kind of bring ourselves up to modern day.
Sure. Well, I mean, Haiti has not had it easy, that's for sure. So obviously the disaster of 2010 lasted for years, and we were lucky enough to see a slow development in Port-au-Prince, like because of the work that we were doing in other organizations and the government that they had at the time. You know, we were seeing small changes. Of course, it is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, and without jobs and without anything being made in Haiti, it's you know, it's a tough place to be. But over, I would say, the past 5 years, since the pandemic hurt everybody. It hurt Haiti, of course, but worse than the pandemic was the presidential assassination. That was nearly 4 years ago now. You know, there is no government standing, and the country is now run by gangs. And so that's what we've been dealing with now, is how do we operate a charity? How do we operate a business amongst gang wars? Like 80% of the country is run by gangs. There's no government protecting people. There's no services available. How do people live and work in those conditions? And God only knows how they're still doing it. But we are lucky enough to be one of the organizations that is still operational. We closed down for 5 months in February because it was just too dangerous in our neighborhoods. But the Haitian leadership of our teams just said, you gotta let us get back to work. Our factory is solar powered. So people had access to the radio, to energy, to clean water, things that they didn't have in their own homes. So we said, you guys, we're 700 miles away. We couldn't possibly make decisions about your lives and livelihood from here. So the leadership in Haiti had to make those calls, and we've been open ever since. So our kids are back in school, going to the programming. Our people are back working. You know, we have definitely had our problems. People held up at gunpoint and robbed and terrible things like that. But they want to keep living. And so that's what we're working with right now, is just trying to make the best decisions we can from afar and do our job of raising money and awareness to buy made in Haiti, because that's what saves us.
Yeah, but going back to our last chat and where the situation is and where it's got to now, I mean, of course, there's an old saying, better the devil you know. Now, the government of Haiti, you know, we talk about corruption. Every government's corrupt, if we're honest. Corruption in Haiti was rife, but you kind of knew it, and you knew how to navigate around it, not to fall into it, but to get, you're gonna have to work harder, you're gonna have to dig deeper, you're gonna have to do things differently. That's what you did, and that's what we did. And it was hard, it was tough, but then you didn't realize what good space that was until that government got took out. When the government then got took out, it went to complete ratchet. It was chaos, and I mean chaos. It was everybody for themselves. All of a sudden, you know, it was the police were trying to take control, and they're corrupt anyway. And that sort of went out of control. The gang started to build power, and it literally was building barricades, beating each other with sticks, the odd stabbing, the odd knife attack here and there. And then over a period of about, I'll say 18 months, maybe a little bit more than that, because it's gone so quick, if I'm honest, there was a massive influence of weapons. And it was everything from AKs to M4s to all sorts of stuff. All these weapons.
Really?
Yeah. Now, these gangs, and, you know, you and I, you know, when you talk about going up against gangs, that's kind of what you expect. You expect people with weapons, with RPGs, you know, terrorist type gangs. That's what we expect. When you go up against like little gangs in places like Africa and Haiti, it's people with sticks, batons, throw stuff at you, maybe a petrol bomb, maybe. That's what it was like. And that's what it's always been like. So it's easy. We go, okay, yeah, we get it. If you're in the wrong place, you're in the wrong place. It's not a good place to be. But it's controllable to a degree. You know, if you wanted to really smash it down, you could. Then all of a sudden, over about 18 months, weapons. And I was watching this grow. There was very few people in Haiti had weapons, mainly the people with a bit of money because of licenses and all that sort of stuff. And all of a sudden, over this 18-month period, you saw these gangs, proper now gangs with weapons, body armor, uniform, vehicles. Yes, mate. And I went, where's this coming from? Who and why? Why? It's obviously to keep them unstable for whatever reason. I mean, the bit is the why I can't get my head around. Why? Because what is in Haiti? It's not like it's a great main supply route for drugs, I don't believe. You know, there's no oil there on a significant scale.
It's not known for its mineral rights or riches.
No, there's bits and pieces there, but it didn't make a lot of sense. And the other side of the island is Spanish, and that doesn't get touched. It was bizarre, and it's still to this day is bizarre. The question of everyone I know, friends of mine that have been out there and had spent time there, is why. They ask me why. I don't know why. I'm looking from a political perspective and thinking, what would be the interest? Would it be drugs? Is it? Why are we masking? The only thing is to keep them unstable, keep that country unstable for whatever reason. I don't know. So that's what's happened. Now, where we are right now is these gangs are little militias. They're being trained. You can see if you I could send you a video. If you look at the video, you could probably make a guess of got a good idea who might be training them just by their and I know.
Yeah.
When you train people, we have our mannerisms, we have our ways of carrying weapons, the way we deal, and you could see techniques and stuff that's being used. But the fact that they've got body armor, they've got better vehicles than the police, it's really gone to that level now. And that's where it's been up until really the last month. So we've been trying to get in and out, and without there's no point taking a risk when you don't need to. So we've waited, and as Jules has alluded to, the people, our factory, our schools, wanted, rather than sit at home and wait to get burned to death alive or attacked or raped or whatever it is, they went, we feel safer in our numbers, and the numbers are when they get back to the factory, because there's over 50 of them. So they'll get to the factory. They've got power. They're all together. They feel secure. The mind's off the chaos outside those walls, and they're doing something. So they're willing to totally risk their lives to get into that environment. And to be fair, and we didn't want them to do that. They begged us to do it. And she asked me to make an essay, and I said, you can't take that risk, because if one gets kidnapped to do it, we've got. But at the end of the day, they decided that they're going to do it anyway. So that's basically what they did. So then we put in position wherever we could, anything that would help us with the contacts we had. Should we need a vehicle? Should we need this? Even at one point, I think we had an helicopter on standby to get people out. It never really materialized, and doesn't really matter. But so we had things in place where we could. So where we are today is the guys and the girls have been going to work and they're turning over work. They're happy at work. It's a bizarre situation. We'll FaceTime them and they're happy. But then they've got to do that run of death to get home, and touch wood, they've done all right. We've had a few little incidents. One of our I'll call her a chef. One of our chefs was killed outside the building, and that was actually not gang related. It was a vehicle out of control that smashed her into the wall, and unfortunately she got killed. We've had people robbed, a couple of people robbed, but we've been very, very lucky. So where we are today is the factory's still going. They're turning over, doing an amazing job making school shoes. Jules and her team on the outside have been, batting around trying to get work for them, and they're basically producing school shoes for all the kids in Haiti, because they're the only ones who can do it. And it's going, I will say, she can update you more in a minute, it's going really well. So it's giving them a purpose. We're able to pay them, so we're keeping it going. The kids are still going. Kids are resilient. They're like, you ain't stopping us. So we're putting shoes on their feet and they're walking to school and they're doing it. And it's amazing, mate. It really is. Now where we're at, last week, bizarrely, a friend of mine that worked out in Libya, an ex-military guy, contacts me and he goes, hey, I'm in Haiti. I went, what are you doing in Haiti? Works for an American company called Comonics, which you probably know, deal with all the USA contracts and all that sort of stuff. He goes, yeah, we've been out here for years, blah, blah, blah. He's gone in to do a risk assessment. And he's a very good friend of mine. So we've just had a meeting with him. So we now are hoping in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we can go back in. There's an implementation force gone in from Kenya. Now, I was
going to ask you guys about that. I mean, for people who have never done a little geography searching and looked at where, Haiti is in comparison to Kenya, let's just say it's not hopscotchable distance. It's literally an ocean and the continent of Africa away. Yeah. I'm assuming that was some part of a UN force, because what I was reading was, 200 Kenyan police officers in that initial force have arrived. Yeah. How did it, you couldn't find any, I'm glad that they're there, but really? You couldn't find anybody closer than Kenya to support? How did that end up happening?
So I was just, there's so many weird things about that, and I've read so many different theories about it. But one of the theories was that Canada, America, and Mexico and France, nobody wanted to go in themselves, but Canada is doing some kind of deal with the Kenyans where I think they're gonna offer jobs to Kenyans, or they're doing some kind of deal if they'll go into Haiti.
And citizenship.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's true or not, but it is very bizarre. Why Kenya?
Yeah. Same thing. I'm like, why Kenya? Kenya's got its own problems, you know.
We've just heard so many different theories, and we just don't know. And I'm dying for the real answers, and if we get them, we'll share for sure.
I was looking it up this morning, you know, on the maps, like zooming into Haiti, and then put in Kenya, and it zooms out, rotates the globe about halfway, and then zooms back in. Like, what the fuck?
Exactly. What the fuck? Like,
nuts.
who fucking did this? Whose great idea was this one?
Yeah.
But to be fair, for us and the people of Haiti, they're just glad someone's come.
Yeah.
There's 200. So what I believe at the minute, there was 200 there about 3 weeks ago. They were held down because they didn't have any rules of engagement. It's still a bit of a cluster.
And who are they working for? I mean, if the government has been demolished, are they trying to create an environment for safety that a government can be rebuilt?
Yes.
I mean, who are they answering to?
That's exactly what they're doing. But who's actually controlling it? I guess it would probably be the head of the security forces, police, I would imagine. It's like a temporary sort of politician stroke, whatever.
And
But
from what we heard, your friends at the SWAT team
Yeah.
is kind of controlling like this. Their SWAT is like trying to break up gangs or go into the gang members. So I think that they're tailing, you know.
I think the gangs have got to the point now where they think we're sick of killing each other now. There's nothing else to rob or take. What do we do now?
Yeah.
So whoever's heading that up and talking with the head of the police, I think that's the only sort of, if you want to call that a government at the moment, I believe, I might be wrong. They're talking, they went, right, let's get somebody. So the Kenyans have come in and they're kind of neutral to everybody, I suppose. They're not French, they're not Spanish.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's kind of, all right, we'll agree on that if you like. So they've come in and they've actually been going out on the street, showing a presence. The gangs apparently have let them come down and take the barriers down. They've started taking the barriers down themselves. They've withdrawn. There's less aggression and problems going on, although there is stuff still going on for sure.
Yeah.
So these 200 Kenyans have been out there, showed their face. They're ready. They're now just, which you'd think they'd be in place, but writing up their standard operation procedures, how they operate. Now, what I have been told, and they're looking at building a green zone style security barrier around Port-au-Prince, pushing the gangs out, pushing people out into the countryside and all that, which is going to cause another problem, of course, because people haven't got nothing anyway. But I guess for now, all they're interested in is stopping the violence, taking the weapons out, getting some sort of control to build a government of some sort. That's where we're at now. That's what I believe.
Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of Change Agents is brought to you by Montana Knife Company. If you are a fan of the show, if you've tuned in before, you've probably heard me talking about them. They are an American-made brand. Actually, just down the road from where I'm at right now, about 120 miles away down in Frenchtown, is a man named Josh Smith, the founder of Montana Knives. And if you're a hunter, you've definitely heard about him. My favorite, my go-to actually in my pack somewhere in this room is the Mini Speed Goat. You're probably aware that they have a culinary line. They have a line that you could use for skinning, for fillet, and every use in the backcountry. But what you don't know is that on July 11th, they're going to have a tactical line. The first line, or the first knife in that line, is going to be called the War Goat. I wish I had one to show you, but that's how far into production they are right now. I don't even have one to hold up for you to see. When I do, you're definitely going to see it. And if it's anything like the other knives that Josh and Montana Knife Company make, you can be guaranteed it's going to serve every purpose that they claim it will. Go to montanaknifecompany.com to check out what they have to offer. Good luck getting one of these things when they come available because, man, they go fast. So be prepared and be on the lookout.
When I woke up, very confused, she said, "You almost died last night. In fact, no one can believe you were alive."
Change is very scary. As humans, we just hate uncertainty.
I went into the games not knowing what was coming.
You just sensed that it was out there.
It was like they'd been hit by a nuclear bomb.
This could go so many different directions.
You have to start somewhere.
We're all programmed in this world to push ourselves even farther.
Almost always some degree of growth that's available to us if we are very intentional about it.
I could talk to you for probably another 2 hours.
My experience with the world is that if you try and do something hard and you give it your best shot, people are unbelievably accepting of the result.
Thanks again for coming on the X.
I'll be curious to see how that goes, because what you're describing, a non-native force shows up. Violence kind of goes down for a little bit. They're out there, showing a presence. This is eerily similar to early Iraq and Afghanistan.
Right, exactly.
And they allowed us to be there and show our presence and move around a little bit because they were watching. They were trying to figure out what we were doing. And then when it was optimal for them, they kicked it off. And we spent almost 20 years in those environments. So I'm curious, especially with a gang that has that level of equipment. We're talking 7.62, 5.56, body armor, vehicles. I don't know what the Kenyans rolled in with. I don't know what their standard armament is. But if it's a smart enemy or adversary, as you know, they're going to sit back and watch for a little bit to see how this chessboard plays itself out. And when it's optimal for them, then they're going to actually step onto the board.
I think you're right. However, although, as I've said, the gangs have got vehicles, weapons, I don't think it's anywhere near like the scale of something where like Iraq or Afghanistan. The other thing is, to this day, there's never been any IEDs, explosives, and all that nonsense, mines. Yeah. It's all small arms. So I think if the Kenyans go in, there might be some extra people come behind them, will train them properly and use that aggression to take them down. I don't think. I think you're right in one respect. They'll push out, watch for a bit. Then they'll get pissed off with being bullied around. So you'll have little groups then forming and go, well, fuck this, we're not standing for any more. This is our country again. Well, you'll have that. But I don't see it as the Middle East was an haven for terrorism. It was any excuse now to go and form. And I don't think that's going to happen there.
I don't think it will either, just from a geographic perspective, right? It's an island versus, Iraq and Afghanistan. You could, if you wanted to, it'd be a very long walk, but you could walk in between Afghanistan and Iraq and visit some neighboring countries that were definitely very anti-Western ideologies. So definitely in that respect, for sure. Yeah, it would be much harder for a network to be supported given the fact they're geographically isolated on that island. Yeah. Just, it's as humans, we seem to like to believe that we are creating new things all the time, and sometimes it's just the same old shit playing itself out over and over and over again. So I hope you're right. I hope it goes in a much more passive direction.
I think it will. I'm pretty sure it will, to be honest. I mean, there'll be skirmishes and all that sort of stuff, but I know, like I said, my friend who's working for the American company, that they're looking at going back in, which is a great sign. Yeah, going back in to do all the work that they're going to do, which again helps us because then Jules team can then get back into full flow of importing, exporting, and get and with the way they're going, making these school shoes and getting more contracts, making it even bigger. So that's on the horizon at the moment. That's what we're looking for.
Up until that, I mean, hopefully stability does arrive there to a degree where it can be much more open. Up until that point, has the factory kind of just been flying under the radar of the gangs? Do they just really, I'm assuming they probably know it's there. Do they just allow it to exist and kind of have a hands-off approach? How is it treated?
Yeah, so we've heard, again, a lot of this is hearsay, but we've heard that our factory is backed up against where all the gang members' children go to school. There's a big school behind us. And so our area, like this, we're right in the middle of a red zone. Even his friend that's doing security couldn't get clearance to go into our factory. I mean, that's how bad the area is. But our particular place, because it's backed up against a school, we've heard has been protected now. We have had to pull bullets out of the roof, and like, we do like have some situations, but nothing like what other people have experienced. I mean, so many of our colleagues have had to shut down or gone. I mean, the companies don't exist anymore and the missions don't exist anymore. So we are so lucky. I feel ignorant. I keep telling you, I don't know why. I don't know. I just really don't know the answers, because I don't think I'll ever understand the mentality of gangs, like, and how and why they are destroying the very things that are keeping livelihoods and financial freedom to people in Haiti. I don't understand it. I don't know if I'll ever understand it.
Yeah. I think there's also an element of respect as well. I think they know that, people over the last 15 years, people have seen so many businesses come in with great ideas and none of it's come to fruition. Everybody's just, it's getting too tough and left, where we've been there, stayed there. It's job for their people, so I think there's a little bit of respect there to go, you know what? It's,
you know, this could be right because about 10 years ago or something, there, you know, street kids are always working and stealing off people. And there was a car full of white people, of foreigners going through, and a little street kid like went in the window to grab this girl's necklace to pull it off her neck. And the kid looks at the woman and goes, "Oh, do you know Julie?" And she goes, "Yeah, I know Julie." He goes, "Oh, okay," and didn't steal her necklace. You know, so I feel like we have kind of built a little bit of a reputation in the area that, you know,
and a lot of those little shits that were the troublemakers are actually in the fashion. They work for us now. They're the ones who are running the bloody place. So
yeah,
you know, you're there.
I would hope that there's some truth to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that. You know, there's an element of luck as well, for sure.
Yeah.
But that's where we are now, and that's where the situation is. But they're making these little kiddie school shoes, which are friggin' amazing. And
that is awesome.
Yeah, sure.
So was that their idea or your guys' idea to lateral from a lot of the leather goods and handbags? Which, by the way, thank you guys for sending me the package. Oh, yeah. The Claymore bag was my favorite. It was absconded by my son, that little son of a bitch. So no, it was spectacular. But so that, I mean, that's footwear. You know, largely leather goods and bags and footwear, not the same animal by any stretch.
No.
You know, we're talking lasts and soles and all that stuff. So I'm just curious, how did it evolve?
Of development. So I always wanted to make something for the local market because, you know, a big thing, especially that Americans participate in, are shoe drives. And so, like, you know, I'm sure everybody has done that where you go and you donate an old or gently used pair of shoes. They then go into a giant shipping container and get sent to the developing world. Well, the problem with that is one, like in Haiti, you have to have a proper uniform to go to school. Two, they usually don't fit. You know, it's just, there's tons of issues with it. And also you're flooding the market with free shoes. So it kills like the industry for us. So, but yeah, I decided I wanted to make school shoes, and like our customer, 90% of the schools in Haiti are mission or NGO funded. So like our customers are churches, organizations, nonprofits. And we say, you know, buy a pair of school shoes from us for $35 and keep all of the money in Haiti. These shoes are tested, like the kids are actually walking in them. They're leather, they're brand new.
Hold that thing up again. Let's check that sucker out as you're talking to it.
There it is.
I mean, I would try that on. It's a little small for my feet. That'd have to be sandals. I'd have to blast my toes out the front, but
yeah, it's you know, it's a very Haitian design because it's in line with the Haitian you know, school uniform. And so we wanted it to be culturally relevant. We wanted it to last. We wanted it to be comfortable. And so, like I said, years and years and years of development. But about 3 years ago, this really started to take off. And then when the gangs took over the port, missions couldn't import their school shoes anymore. So it was kind of a huge break for us because we started getting all of these school shoe contracts, providing school shoes. And so then kids were getting something locally made. They were, you know, some schools were doing tours of the factory back when it was a little bit safer, you know, seeing that there is opportunity to make something in Haiti. And so all around the story was just, you know, a good story for Haiti. And we're just hopeful. I want to see our school shoes. I never want another imported shoe in Haiti. I want to make all of them. And I want all the contracts, and I want to build factories all over the country. This is my house. This is what I want.
I like it.
And this is what I think could be our destiny if we just, you know, can find safety and security and just keep going. So it's kind of
it looks like the top is made out of leather. What do you guys make the sole out of?
So we used to make the soles out of tires like we did our sandals, but we're no longer able to collect tires because of the gangs and things. So these are just rubber PU soles that we've actually imported from the Dominican Republic. Our big thing was like we wanted to source everything from Haiti, but with the gangs we can't go downtown, we can't get materials. So we source from the island, from the Dominican Republic, and there's a lot of shoe factories there.
Okay.
So so the sole's been tried and tested, but the whole upper is leather. And everything's made right in our factory in Port-au-Prince. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a fun little project for us to work on.
How long has it been since you guys have been back to the factory?
Yeah, I know November when Sarah broke in.
Yeah, last November. So 2 November.
Yeah. Nearly a year and a half, really. Almost a year and a half.
So you guys have got to be itching to be able to get back and see your people again and just see what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be sensible as well. You know, is it worth the risk? I'm pretty sure we could sneak in, sneak out, but it's just that one thing that went wrong. It'd be a clusterfuck, and I didn't want to do that.
that might work for you. I don't know if I would bring the missus along for that particular invasion.
No way she's going to let me go.
I told him.
We almost went in last week because my friend was there and he said, none of the routes have been tested yet. So I lit up. I went, right, I'm coming over. I'm going with you. Yeah. And she goes, you fucking ain't going nowhere.
You are not going to test out the, I mean, like.
Our risk profile is slightly different than our significant others.
Yeah, I'm not okay with that, but I was okay with him bodyguarding me if we wanted to go visit the factory. But we're hoping in August that will happen. If we get over there, we'll definitely let you know. Get you some photos and video of what's happening on the ground. But
that would be amazing.
This week on Borderland, an Ironclad original, Vince talks to San Diego native Corey Gutero. Corey walks the border on a daily basis and has made some startling discoveries.
Like, here's a whole passport. No, this guy just tossed the passport, right? This guy put some work in to get rid of this passport. What I'm finding is the ones that are ripped up very well, like here's a stamp. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
The ones that are ripped up, and I have some over here that are burnt, those usually have some countries in there that don't necessarily like us all that much.
Watch Borderland every Monday wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube at This Is Ironclad.
For over 2 decades, our military has been engaged in the global war on terrorism. This means parents are currently sending their children off to fight in the same war that they did. The Global War on Terrorism Memorial Foundation is a nonprofit organization designated by Congress to plan, fund, and build the National Global War on Terrorism Memorial on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., next to the Vietnam Memorial and the World War II Memorial. The foundation is run by Michael Rodriguez, who has been deployed 10 times to serve our nation. And this year, his son deployed, just like he did. The mission of the foundation is clear: build an inclusive memorial honoring all of the uniform and non-uniform personnel who have served in the GWOT, which stands for Global War on Terror, as well as the civilians, family members, and other groups who have supported America's service members throughout the conflict. You can join this historic effort and honor the brave men and women defending our freedoms. The memorial is being funded 100% through private donations, and though the location is secured, the ground can only be broken once funds have been raised. So you can visit GWOTmemorialfoundation.org to learn how you can be more involved. Whether you donate, buy merch, sign up for their newsletter, or just follow them on social media, your support matters. Join me in honoring those who have served our country these past 2 decades by visiting GWOTmemorialfoundation.org today. What do you estimate life is like on the ground now for people, Haitian people, outside of the factory and the ad environment where people, like you said, are able to access electricity, clean water, probably information as well? What's the average life like for a Haitian in this gang-controlled environment?
I mean, if you could imagine living every single day in fear, something that we did that we've been most proud of is we got mental health counseling for our students and staff, because, I mean, post-earthquake, I mean, even before the earthquake, I mean, trauma is something that affects all people, but I mean, specifically, the violence against women is outrageous. Haitians being targeted for ransom is very common now. Nothing is safe. So, we talk to our team a lot, and people Haitians are amazing because they always try to like grit through it and work through it. But I think people are scared, petrified for their own families, for their own lives. The inflation is insane. So the cost of living is it cost us 3 times more to operate our factory than it did 3 years ago. So just the cost of living, I mean, my investors and most people would say, well, take your factory and move it somewhere else. If we weren't there to do what we were there to do, it would make no sense to keep our business in Haiti. So times are tough. And if it's that difficult for a business, I mean, I can't imagine what the bills are like for everyday Haitians and what they're suffering through. So, people need our support. They really do. And Haiti's our neighbor. I mean, my God, they're right there, so it's tough to imagine.
Yeah, I think they are. Every day is literally survival for everybody, even the gangs. The gangs, who they're going to rob next, what's left to rob. It's desperation everywhere. And the reason that, again, going back to why the factory's running is people are like, you know what, they was just sit at home and wait to die. Fuck it. I'm going to take a risk. And they'd rather take that risk and get together and try and have some sort of normality for a few hours a day, you know?
Yeah,
So
I was very uncomfortable with them opening the factory.
Yeah.
I mean, just because people are getting kidnapped all the time, walking to and from work or school, I was very uncomfortable with it. But, you know, we had to take a dose of humble pie. It's, you know, we built that business for a reason, to employ people. We wanted Haitian leadership, so we had to let them lead, especially in, you know, when you're not there, you know, and they begged us not to come, you know, to make sure that we didn't show our faces. So we've been trying to be respectful of that too. And now they're like, okay, you guys, you should come soon. You should come soon.
I actually I understand their decision, because it comes down to control. Meaning if you're in an environment where survival is uncertain, I think your susceptibility to stress, because you have no control whatsoever. You're just a victim of what's going on around you. By them deciding that they were going to go to the factory and work, reasonable, unreasonable, people could say whatever they want to, looking at it from a distance, not having to make those decisions in that environment, that also provides them a sense of purpose. And they are making that choice to go do that. So that puts that locus of control back with them, as opposed to sitting there waiting for something to happen. And I am not an expert in post-traumatic stress. I've been around enough people who have varying levels of it. And for whatever reason, I'd be curious your thoughts on this too, Billy. In the U.S., I would say the special operations community, it's not that post-traumatic stress doesn't exist, but I do think it is at a lower level. And I think the reason for that is we often controlled when we would encounter violence. It was almost always on our terms. The communities of people in the U.S. military that I have seen the most greatly affected are the ones that had almost no control, like the mine clearing operations, where you're literally driving along wondering whether or not your next second is going to be your last and you're going to get vaporized. They had no control over their environment. They didn't know when they were going to encounter violence. And it seems to, for a non-technical term whatsoever, to scramble your eggs a lot more than when you were making that choice and having that control. So I actually understand very deeply their desire to do that.
I agree with you. It's exactly that, mate. In our world, you know, we had more information, more knowledge, and, you know, we were either starting the violence or being prepared.
9 times out of 10, it was I mean, honestly, you actually take that back. 99.9% of the time, I initiated when I was exposed to violence, other than like some random pop shot at a helicopter or something like that. I was almost never shocked or surprised by it, and I do think that that makes a difference on how it impacts you in the long run.
Yeah, I agree. Point. Absolutely, I agree with you. Yeah, and we are fortunate, because you look at the wider force and you feel sorry for them. You just think, fucking hell.
Yeah.
You know, they don't get the information, knowledge, and we go out for a specific reason. They go out to do a job, but not knowing if and when it's going to come.
But that same mentality, you apply that to the people working at your factory, right? They're taking over that. They understand the risk. They're taking that ownership. I feel like, and again, not an expert in any of this, but I feel like it would actually help you, I don't want to say thrive, but survive in that environment to a place where you could eventually thrive. Because you just have a little bit of, in an environment that is almost uncontrollable, you at least have some control over your future and the decision that you're making.
Yeah, that makes a massive difference.
That's a great point. It's a great point. Beautifully put too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I stole it from somebody else. I'm a firm believer I've never had a unique idea in my entire life. So, but I can repeat shit other people say. Tell me about what else is going on with Rebuild globally. Is it specifically targeted just at Haiti?
Yeah, we're only in Haiti.
Okay.
You know, I think between the schools having to close down, I mean, we've just really focused on our job training programs and our Saturday programs so that the kids can focus on, they get the mental health help, because, you know, I don't know. I think that in these places of trauma and all these things that they're experiencing, if they can just kind of keep their heads on straight, stay focused, like you were talking about earlier, on their education, they'll do better. They'll survive better. I mean, kids are still graduating. Kids are still, you know, passing exams. They're still, you know, doing all of these things that I couldn't imagine students here, you know, surviving through. It's incredible.
What has been the most effective approach you found for fundraising? Because I've been involved in a few fundraising efforts over the years, and it is by far the most difficult thing I have ever done, is to try to first get people's attention and then separate hard-earned dollars from wallets. I mean, you think fighting overseas is hard? Try to fundraise for a totally legitimate reason or organization or cause, and you just fail. It's so hard.
And then add all the corruption of Haiti and where all those billions of dollars have gone. Nobody trusts anybody. And then add on people are way over Haiti because they've been donating to Haiti for so long and not seeing positive outcomes. So yeah, we face challenges on that all the time. I mean, I've always said, and I'm so grateful that like Billy has taken his statue and his position in life and use that to be the greatest ambassador for us. I mean, without that, I don't think the charity would exist. But especially when we go on his road tour, we share the story of Haiti. And then we do have the positive outcomes. Back in the day, we used to bring people to Haiti, show them this kid, you know, got this education and now has this job. He's not a recipient of charity anymore. He's a tax-paying citizen, you know, and that, like, you know, all of these organizations that have schools, and then once kids are 18, they're done with them. What happens to Haitian youth when they're 18 and they have no jobs? They cannot be an active part of society when there's no systems of that society to allow them to grow. So they do what you have to do. You join gangs, you steal, there's no income. So that's the difference with Rebuild Globally and Deux Mains. That is our greatest difference, is our business model, is that not one student that have gone through our programs is not earning their own money now.
Yeah, and trying to get grants and stuff and all that, it's just... You need to be a Philadelphia lawyer to fucking the amount of paper you have to do just to get a couple of $100. You know, it's crazy. And the amount of effort and work she puts in for that.
I don't think that's accidental either. I don't think that the process being difficult is an accident, because while they're holding the money, the time value of money, I'm like, let's just leave it in our account to get compounding interest. Like, you motherfuckers.
We agree with that.
Yeah.
So we're literally, the way we fund stuff is our road tour. We've got a road tour coming up again in October, November, and April of next year. So on that, every night on that tour, people see the charitable side, and people go, "Oh, I didn't realize you do that," and they're very generous.
And they'll buy raffle tickets to you know, get a Billy bag or get something. We'll raffle off, and then also we sell the merchandise from Deux Mains. So like, his tour really helps us a lot because we sell product and we raise money for the charity, and we get the word out about what we're doing. We're able to share the statistics of the success of the organizations, even when all you're hearing in the news is all the negative, horrible things that are happening in Haiti. We're able to share a different side of that.
That personal story, I think, helps in being able to do that in person. The fundraising, especially if it's based off just social media, like you said, the vast majority of information I find to be negative. Trying to show like a positive ray of hope in this bombardment or fire hose of the other information.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe for a second, good luck. It's truly, people don't understand how hard it is to raise money until they've tried it, and then they'll never try it again.
Yeah. And that's the thing about our charity is we will always be raising money because education is not free in Haiti, and we will always need money for that. Now with our business, it's like we're selling something that is our job to sell. We don't need charity dollars, but for Rebuild Globally, we will always need those donated dollars. We will always need somebody who says, I see the impact that is making, and I want to be a part of that. And again, when all you're hearing about is gang warfare and all these terrible things happening in Haiti, who's going to trust that anybody's actually still in there doing good? And we have seen so many organizations close down and businesses close down that it's we're lucky that we can still operate and provide like you said, a little tiny ripple. We're so small, you know, it feels like, you know, like nothing in the vastness of it all, but it's not nothing to the people who we work with and the students.
Well, how can the listeners and viewers of the show help you guys out? How can the Change Agents audience, other than obviously donating, what's the best mechanism that this audience could use to help you guys?
Yeah, well, we have a couple different, you know, so buying is always great. Like, you can sponsor and buy school shoes for kids if you want to on the Rebuild Globally website. That's always amazing help because then you're basically sponsoring a little kid who couldn't afford the shoes. Or if you need a duffel bag, or what was your Claymore bag? That is, by the way, his most popular bag. So if you're...
with 18-year-old little thieves, sons of bitches.
We'll send you one.
Oh, fucker.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you took my bag? I didn't order groceries for the week. Checkmate.
At least it's fair in your household.
Yeah.
But yeah, that really is the greatest way to support us, is to buy Haitian made, you know, buy from Deux Mains or Rebuild Globally, and we'll keep doing what we do.
We'll keep doing the fundraisers as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that is our steady trickle. I mean, I do a thing called Memo and Cameo.
Oh, yeah.
This
is a
great
request.
You know, people will send a message to so and so, and every single penny goes to the charity. So there's those two platforms that I do.
Use Cameo actually, but
Cameo,
he's raised
Cameo's the one.
over $50,000, 100%. Just he will send somebody
awesome.
a birthday message on Cameo, and it goes right to the Rebuild Globally bank account. It's been an amazing gift.
Yeah,
and
so that's our steady trickle.
Yeah.
But every now and again, there's a wall where we'd run in salt, and then we'll just have a raffle or something.
Yeah.
Until we can get back over there, anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, but people are so generous, you know, they really are. So, and we're very appreciative of all that. So,
And also, again, thankful to you to letting us share our story and our update.
Oh,
Really
for sure.
Supporting us as
well.
I'll let you guys have the last words. Close it out. What do you want to leave people with?
Understanding what charity is, and going back to that word we use there, it's all about dignity. We're all good people. No matter how bad your day is, there's always somebody unfortunately having a worse day, and the best thing you can ever do is help somebody else. So keep doing it.
Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to find out more about Julie and Billy's work, or if you want to support their endeavors, you can go to rebuildglobally.org or deuxmains.com. Both of the links are going to be down in the show notes. Thank you again for listening to Change Agents, an Ironclad original, presented by Montana Knife Company. We will be back next week with an all-new episode.